Welcome to the Voice of Putnam County Business. This is the podcast of the Putnam County Business Council, where we will be discussing all things related to Putnam County business climate and economic development in the county. We have Nick DeAndrea, General Manager of Park Ford. He is a director of the Putnam County Business Council, and also Nat Prentice of Prentice Investment Management, LLC. Nat is also the president of the Putnam County Business Council and also president of the Cold Spring Chamber of Commerce. We will welcome our host right after a brief message from our sponsor.
When Country Willow Furniture found people staying at home instead of furnishing their homes during the pandemic, the store worried about the loans that fueled their dramatic growth. But Tompkins Bank knew that solid relationships, like solid furniture, last far into the future. The value of a bank in your corner, the values of a bygone era. Tompkins gives you both, and the best banking relationship you'll ever have. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of Putnam County Business. Right beside me once again, Nat. How you doing?
Nick, I'm doing really good. It's been nice to see you. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah.
Glad to see you. Hope the business is treating you well, and you're doing your family, yourself are in good shape. Are you?
Yeah, all is well, thank God. And it's been a while to start the year, but all is well, thank God. So
I'm to be back with you.
Today we have a fantastic guest on the show, someone who offers a lot to the area, to the county. A good friend of mine, my personal barber, Mike Lugo from Xclusive Cuts. Mike, how you doing, pal?
Thank you, guys. I'm really excited to be here. It's pretty cool. I've never been in the vault. It's an interesting concept here on 6, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So you had a little write-up about yourself for us to kind of kick off the show, and we want to kind of start with that. So your business.
Yes.
Almost 10 years now.
Yes, going on 10 years next year.
Wow, you started young.
Yeah, 25.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
Not a lot of people out there that can say that they started a business on their own at 25 years old.
You're absolutely right.
So that's a heck of accomplishment, and you have 2 stores now, right?
Yes.
Wow.
And I also have a salon with my wife.
And
A beauty suite.
And you've been cutting hair since you were 10.
14 years old. Yeah. It's been going on 20 years now. I started in my mother's basement. A couple of my buddies needed some haircuts. I moved from Brooklyn. So when I did move, I forced my mom to drive me down an hour and a half every 4 to 6 weeks to get a haircut. And, she kind of cut that tie real quick. And I picked up a pair of clippers, and that's where the journey started.
I see, but there was no one in you weren't following in anyone's footsteps.
My mother did hair for a couple of years, way back when. So she didn't really influence me to do hair. I was just used to a certain haircut coming from a certain place. And when I moved up north, I wasn't getting what I wanted, being a picky little boy that I was. So I decided to kind of take charge and get it done myself.
Yeah. Gosh, and before you picked this part of the world to do it, what kind of a competitive analysis did you do to determine that this was going to be a good place to bring your business?
So I mean, moving here again from Brooklyn 20 years ago, I'm 35. I was 13, 14 years old. I didn't make a decision to move up here. My parents did.
Yeah.
So I was kind of,
I see.
dealt
And
with
once
those
you're
cards.
here, that was the territory you were dealt.
That's it. You had to get to know a lot of people in the area, make yourself well known, and that's kind of the route that I took.
Yeah. So you're a local guy. You grew up here.
Yep.
And you got your business in Mahopac. You got another one in Yorktown, and
Correct.
your wife's business also in Mahopac. Right?
Correct. Yep.
So
We do hair.
So you know everybody in the town.
I thought I knew everybody. You think you know a lot of people, and then when you start going out into different groups and different organizations, and putting yourself out there, you realize that I believe there's over 35,000 people in between Carmel and Mahopac. So you think you know a lot of people, maybe 500, 1,000, and then you really start putting yourself out there, and there's a lot of people, a lot that I don't know, but I know enough. I think I know a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike, you use the word consistency quite a lot.
Yes.
In your philosophy of
Yes.
life. That must be, is that the key to
That's-
repeat building a business?
Yes.
Got to be a good cut, and it's got to be
And you know what?
the same one.
I think I kind of live my life by consistency. I've noticed that if somebody does offer a product or somebody does offer a service, let's just say you go to, a pizzeria that just opened and you try the slice and you really enjoy it. And the next time you go back and it's the same piece of pizza that you had the first time and you enjoy it. But the third and fourth time, it's kind of not tasting what you remember, the same reason why you go back. So if you don't keep it consistent, then I feel like people won't come back and they have something to talk about. If you keep it consistent and keep it simple and you're really good at the one thing that you choose to do, I think people respect that and, continue utilizing you for what you're offering.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I would agree with that. And you don't try to fix something that's not broken.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's key. If it's working, stick with it.
Stick with it.
Until you have a reason not to.
100%. I also think building relationships, is one of the biggest keys to a successful business owner or a business. You want to have that strong relationship. You want to make sure that people are heard. You want to make sure, you can look them in the eyes and they can understand where you're coming from, vice versa. And that also helps, making somebody a successful business.
Do you do the business? Do you do the paperwork as well? Are you the back office as well as the front
I feel
office?
like I'm the back office, the front office. I make sure that, we have clients coming in and out. I'm in control of the hiring. I've trained, I want to say about 80% of the people that have worked in my shops. Personally, one-on-one training. They didn't go to school. They were,
How big a number? How many people have come
that have total?
Yeah,
probably had about 15 to 20 different employees, but they also all have moved on to do bigger and better things with the help of the atmosphere that we've created in my barbershops and hair salon. So
Mike, Nick and myself, we spend a lot of time in the Putnam County Business Council trying to understand some of the things that you have to deal with just being a businessman here.
A lot, yeah.
And in the hopes that perhaps if we can identify some regulation or some rule that doesn't need to be, that we can begin the process of going to the state or going to the county, trying to help those things go away, because New York State increasingly gets the reputation of not being very business friendly.
Understood.
Tell me about the hurdles that you find in your business. What holds you back?
To be completely honest with you, I've been pretty smooth sailing. We give haircuts. We have, a pretty basic model here. You come in, you get a nice haircut, a good, you gain that relationship with the person. You make sure they have a good atmosphere, good demographic around them. And that's really it. I haven't had that many hurdles, to be completely honest with you. The only big hurdle I would say was in the recent years when, COVID hit.
Yeah.
That was a tough time, I believe, for all small business owners. For parents, for kids, for the elderly, for the poor, for the rich. It was a tough time. And I want to say that I was fortunate enough to save for the rainy day, that saying, make sure you have savings and you're ready for that time. And I believe that was the time that it rained, it poured in everybody's parade. And I made sure I was a smart business savvy man to put away for the 3 to 6 months that you're supposed to put away. I did not receive any help from the state. They denied me for a PPP. Or any other money that they were willing to give up. I didn't get $1 from them. So I was, I was fortunate enough that I went that route and I saved and I was able to pay my bills and I didn't get a break or anything and I survived.
That's very remarkable. Like most people that I know in the business world have survived.
I know.
Courtesy of the United States.
I know. And you know what? It's funny. People always ask me, well, didn't you get help? And the truth is, no, we didn't get help. And I was smart enough to, again, save and make sure that if anything ever happens, I was ready for it. So
one of the other things I want to talk about with you, and I experienced it firsthand being a client of yours, is the atmosphere that you have in your barbershop.
Of course.
Because to me, you walk in there, it's fun. People are having a good time. Your employees are having a good time, which is key,
of course,
for one, retaining them, and two, portraying that this is a place you want to get your haircut.
100%.
So what do you do to constantly keep that flow of atmosphere coming?
Yeah, that's, I mean, forget about state hurdles, on a personal level, that's probably one of the hardest things to maintain. You have 5 or 6 different personalities that work with you on a daily basis. I see them more than my own family. I'm there 10 hours a day sometimes. I go home for the couple hours, go home, go to sleep, and start it over again. To maintain that, I would say, is the hardest thing, but to instill those good qualities in a younger generation has never been my issue. I'm a bubbly person. Again, I feel like that gift of gab comes out when you're put under pressure and, you're in a group of people or in a room of people that you don't know. I tend to kind of shine in that area. So I try and teach that and instill that to the guys that are working with me or working for me. And they're pretty receptive to that concept. So, we just take it from there. And every day is fun and every day is different. You can't take work too serious, but when it's serious, it's work.
Yeah.
So Nick, is Mike your personal barber, or do you use the services of anyone's available when you go into that shop?
No, I'm going to Mike. I'm going to Mike. He's my guy. If he's away, then I'll stray.
Then you put it off.
Yeah.
But no, he's top notch, and
I appreciate that. And I really can't stress enough. Some people just say, "Well, you just cut hair, and it's just a haircut." No, it's the whole experience. And if you don't build that relationship the first time or the second time that you meet, a random client or a random person that's part of the community that comes in, and they don't see you for who you are, that right there could be detrimental to any business, any small business owner as well. So, to build that relationship, make sure they know who you are, and you're straightforward. I think that's really key and important.
And tell me a little bit more about the competition here. Is it sole proprietorships? Are there chains of the haircut business?
There definitely are chains. I think the best way to combat competition, quote unquote, is again just to make sure that your product stands out for what you stand by, and either people take it or leave it. But most of the time people take it and they're willing to spend the money that they know you're worth, and they value you as a person before your service. And again, this goes back to building that relationship and making sure you see eye to eye with whoever is walking through your door, and whatever service or product that you're offering, make sure you're consistent about it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you do a good job of it.
Thank you.
Day in and day out. You're a busy guy.
It's hard.
You got a young son as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you manage that?
It's hard, but you know what? Overall, my main priority is my family and my son, to be completely honest with you. I see people put other things ahead of, their family and things that mean the most to them. And I'm not that guy. Work is work, but I also try not to take it home with me. Growing up, my father wasn't always around. So I had a single mom who worked 2 to 3 jobs. I had an older sister who took care of me. So, my father was around for a certain amount of years, then he passed away, and I know how that feels. So no matter what, I'm always going to be there for my son first and make sure that he sees me there, present, there for him. And, work and everything else that I get kind of involved in comes secondary to me. So that's the most important, family and my son.
So I'm a great admirer of people who have a busy life and also seem willing to serve the public by being an elected official in your town. Now, I go to quite a lot of town board meetings. I'm not a town board member myself. I have run for town board several times, but I go to the town board meetings all the time.
We can talk after this. I like that.
I'm sure you're prepared for it. But tell me who's your mentor, or who would have been your role model for wanting to be a public servant?
So I don't have anybody in particular that I kind of want to follow, lead. I've been around for 22 years. Again, growing up in a small town where there's a lot of cliques and there's a lot of people and a certain group of people that, hey, if you're not involved and you don't know them, you kind of stand off to the side and watch them progress. And I'm the type of person that I want to get to know and dig a little bit deeper into anything that I see deemed necessary or that would be able to benefit more than just a select group of people. So growing up here and seeing how things work and not being quote unquote on the inside, just drew me closer to wanting to know what actually goes on the inside.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of work. There are a lot of issues. There's this discovery of issues that you didn't know anything about before. It's going to be a lot of
work. Agreed. It's tons of work, and I know it is. And they call it a part-time job, and I don't agree with that. I think it's a full-time and a half job. And yes, I'm busy. I am also fortunate enough that I could move around my schedule. The way I operate businesses by appointment only, so I could kind of find time where need be to serve the public. It's extremely important that the younger generation and people my age start to get more involved and understand how local government works. Because at the end of the day, the people that are involved now tend to be a tad bit older than 35, and eventually that time is going to be up. So who better than to pass the torch down to than people that are going to be here for the next 30, 40 years and, try and grow a family and try and progress and try and, make sure that things go the way we all want it to go and not just the way some people want it to go, the way, the majority would like to see it happen. So.
Mike, that's terrific. Thank you for doing that.
Of course.
It's not
easy. It's not easy.
You're because I'm older than you by probably a fair bit. And I'm just admiring that you're going to do this.
I appreciate
it. It's not easy. Most of the people that your age don't have no idea what goes on.
No, of
town
course.
hall.
And you know what? And honestly, having my son, obviously he's 5 now, owning a business for 10 years, having a wife, being married, paying taxes, owning a home, that all comes into play on a local level. We might not be, people might not think that we could, make a change on a state or a federal, but right here in my own backyard, if I could have a say and I can make sure that people are informed and make sure that people are involved and whatever they feel is necessary to come to play, it's time to speak up and it's time to, take that step. And I feel like I'm gonna, take that leap and I'm willing to be that guy to take the heat and do my best for the majority. Again, it's not just for a small group of people. So
it's definitely something that's inspiring because you don't see a lot of people our age running for a town board spot.
And I wish more people did. And I am noticing, as I'm going through this journey, and again, it's not easy. It's a difficult task. I wish that the people that are involved now, instead of keeping it so closed door, I understand there's certain things that we cannot discuss and disclose to the public. But at the end of the day, if you see a younger guy trying to get involved, I think people need to be a little bit more open-minded in the sense that, hey, maybe I could, show the kid, quote unquote, how this is done or how we would like to see it done rather than, kind of push the younger generation away. You're only doing a disservice to the community that we all live in, to be completely honest with you.
And what struck out to me is the fact that you said before that your family comes first.
Of course.
Right. And
of course,
I believe that you feel that everybody's family comes first.
100%. 100%.
So you're in it for the right reasons.
100%. And again, my son being 5, going to school and being, involved in the school system. And, I coach T-ball and we do football clinics and, having a barbershop where, I see the younger generation, people my age who have kids coming in and they come to me with their concerns and they tell me that they don't like, or they don't feel like they're heard in certain situations. But you can't speak up on only the bigger issues. You have to speak up on all the issues and make sure that you're known and heard, because then when the bigger things come out, you don't want to look like that person that you only care when, it's a huge problem and it's too late. Stay informed, stay involved, and, educate yourself. And that's as much as
I don't know this, but tell me about why do barbershops fail? There must be in the world out there. So there must be shops that don't get the message, don't get the following.
For sure. Again, I think, I've said it from the beginning, consistency is key. And I really mean that. People get comfortable. You have certain clients come in, that they're going to come to you because they like you. But if the quality of the haircut isn't there, then they might feel like they don't want to leave because they're so comfortable with you as a person. But at the end of the day, they also want to look good, right? They want your service to be top notch and consistent. So people tend to get comfortable, being a barber and lose touch and lose sense as to why they actually started doing what they do. And, they kind of get lazy, they're not doing as well as they did from the beginning. And you got to kind of keep it interesting and fun. Otherwise, things tend to get boring. You're starting to do things for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you lose interest and clients and customers see that. And that's kind of where I think things go wrong.
Have there been barbershops that have been here for years where the barber has retired and brought you his clientele or her clientele?
No, I was in a situation where, again, I started when I was 14. I feel like a lot of people don't start at that young of an age. So that obviously benefited me moving into this barber industry. But no, I see a lot of the older guys kind of stick around and they have their clientele and they have their shops and, they kind of want to live the rest of their life cutting hair, and that's fine, but I always tell the younger guys who cut hair, eventually there's going to be the next younger generation who also wants to, move in the same direction as you, and you kind of might get tired of doing what you're doing. So don't, as soon as you're not interested in the craft that you started with, it's time to call it quits. Don't get sloppy. Don't get lazy. Keep it moving.
I got 2 cents here.
Okay.
Mike's wife is my hairdresser.
Correct.
Park Ford is my car dealer. I guess.
Correct.
But literally, both of them are in the same category. I will not do anything related to an automobile, even when I'm buying a BMW,
Yeah.
unless I do it through Park Ford.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's awesome.
And Jackie, even sometimes we clash personally.
Of course.
We love each other. We're very similar. That's what it is. I could never even fathom going to somebody else. And if I even go get a blowout, and it's all because of exactly what you said.
Yeah.
The customer service at Park Ford, and every time you walk into Jackie's place, it's different, it's new, it's vibrant.
100%.
I agree totally.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate that.
We need to introduce that mystery voice, or no,
Everybody knows.
everybody knows that. It's Denmark. From whom Nick and I take a lot of inspiration. So, she is the voice of the voice.
She is the voice.
We wouldn't be here without her. We wouldn't be here without her.
She is heard.
Gosh, it's wonderful, Mike, to meet you. I'm
Thank you.
delighted. This has been the best part of doing this podcast with Nick and Jen, is
Of course.
because I live on the other side of the county, and I try to get over here as much as I can to meet people that I don't know, that we don't have a real good analog for over here. And I can't think of anybody. I'm sure there are. There's in fact a group in Cold Spring that call themselves Barber and Brew.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. And they actually offer beer.
They have, well, and if you go through after you've had your cut, you go through into the next room.
Yes.
There's really quite a nice tap room, if you will.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
But
It's an interesting concept.
It is, but it looks to me like there are 2 different businesses.
Oh, for sure.
There's the barber business that doesn't necessarily feed the brew business, but it's it works for the main street of Cold Spring.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Before we start wrapping up here, there's another organization that you kind of started up recently, revolving around dads in the
Oh, I would love to talk about that.
Tell
I'll
us
make
about
it quick, sweet. So dads is DADS. We call it Dads Always Doing Something. So again, it all dates back to, I keep referencing this, but me moving here at a young age and not knowing anybody, and people having their cliques and their grannies and the people that they kind of operate with. I realized that there are younger dads that are moving into the area, whether they lived here 3 or 4 years, and it's really hard for them to kind of make friends and open up, because they come from a place that's not Mahopac or Carmel. So I see that me being who I am, and having a barbershop and being a bubbly person and having a personality, if I could help any other dad in any other way by introducing them to the people that I have built relationships with, and it can help them in any sort of way, I think being part of a group like that and welcoming all, again, and I keep saying this, welcoming all, not just some, is very important. So any dad that is interested in, again, meeting friends, connecting, networking, anything, your kids want to have a play date and you kind of want a buddy to go have a beer with on a Thursday night, come join us. It's DADS, Dad's Always Doing Something. And we're there to help the community. I always, I'm part of the Lake Mahopac Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce. I keep hearing that there's not enough boots on the ground. And I'm always with a group of dads that say, oh, hey, we could have helped there. We could have done this better. We could have done that better. So, I said, put your money where your mouth is, join the group. And when they need help, whether there's 2 or 3, 5, 10 or 15 of us, we're going to show up and help out where we can. So I'm going to stand by it. Dads are always doing something.
What a great concept. Isn't that awesome?
You have a regular meeting, or you just come together when you need to?
So it started with 8 of us. I came up with the concept. I brought in Scott, who is part of the Chamber of Commerce as well. I felt like he would be a good asset. A little bit older. I also have Richard Dutra, who's a little bit older. I went to school with his son, but I wanted to have that age gap to be able to bridge that kind of relationship where, hey, you could be 65 and I could be 35, but you're a dad. And we know what dads are about. We know how dads feel. And if you need another outlet and you need to speak to somebody, you want some sort of mentorship. And, I say the same thing when it comes to the town board and the community. Open that door and be able to let somebody in and kind of teach them something, educate. Don't push people away. If you have a time to shine and make a difference in somebody's life, do it. Don't stand back and don't watch from a distance. That's all. That's as much as I can see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna have a kid just to have a kid to be a part of that group, but I'm.
No, people are there.
Your time's coming, Nick.
We've had some stepfathers ask too, like, I'm a dad, right? Yeah, you're a dad.
Oh man, but when the time comes, I'll be involved. I promise you that. So, Mike, absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you.
I mean, you're just a great person to speak
Pleasure
to.
to know you.
And you're here to help the county. You're here to help the local
100%.
towns. So we appreciate you coming on The Voice.
For sure. Thank you. And listen, if anybody has questions or concerns in regards to my business or the political career, you could reach me at Lugo for Carmel, Carmel @gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, Lugo for Carmel. And my email for the barbershop is exclusivecuts with an X 31 @gmail.com. I am an open book, and whatever question or concern you may have, I will, respond as quickly as I can. So let's do this.
There you go, Mike. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Good, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Voice of Putnam County Business. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. Thanks for tuning in to the Voice of Putnam County Business, brought to you by Putnam County Business Council. We are sponsored today by the Promenade on 6. Promenade on 6 is a small business hub that is set in an industrial, modern, contemporary space that is proudly showcasing all different kinds of small businesses. You have to check it out. Go to promenadeon6.com and you will get an idea of what Promenade on 6 is, and also brought to you by Park Ford. Park Ford is located right on Route 6 in Mahopac. If you are interested in purchasing a vehicle, you're going to reach out to Nick D'Andrea, 914-774-0036. But I can tell you that I have personally bought and sold, I think, about 5 vehicles with Park Ford. In fact, I have bought cars that are not Fords through them just for the fact that I don't want to deal with any other service department. These guys are world class, whether it comes to buying and selling vehicles or getting your vehicles serviced. Park Ford.